Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Mind, Money, Soul. And today it is the sixth part of the six-part series, Millionaire Secrets, 6 Tips and Habits to Becoming Wealthy. So we have already had spend wisely, make smart decisions with your big financial commitments, clear high interest debt, plan ahead, work on your relationship with money. And number 6, which is very, very important, millionaires invest. That's it. Millionaires invest. That's the end of the episode. Thank you. I'm joking. So I don't know how many times I'm going to say it in my lifetime and across my career, but no one ever got rich just from saving. Let me tell you that. Saving is an important part of our financial plan because, saving allows you to learn the art of delayed gratification, learning how to not just spend all of your money, and teaches your body and your brain what it feels like to hold on to money. But if you only save in cash, and when I say in cash, I don't mean a physical cash like in a pot. I mean in regards to it's liquidated, so it's in cash available straight away versus it being tied up in an asset. If you only save in cash, it's a recipe for disaster because your buying power lessens with every year. Why? Because of inflation. Even though the money itself is still there, right? What you can do with that money is less because of inflation. And it's killing you off. It's killing all that hard-earned work that you've done to make that money, to save it, to then it not even be worth what you was actually worth when you saved it. Rude. Have you ever thought about why money has value? Money, cash, it's literally paper and coins. I find this so interesting, right? So the cost of a physical piece of cash isn't always worth what it's actually worth. Hear me out. £20 note. The amount of money that it costs to make £20 note, I'm talking the materials, the piece of paper, the lamination process, ironically is not worth £20 worth of materials. They could probably print it quite cheaply, actually. So £20 isn't actually worth £20, even though that £20 note could go and buy you £20 worth of something in a shop. Mental. It's essentially a perceived value. Now, money is the value that we as humans choose to attach to it in both an economic financial sense and an emotional sense. Now, money was created way back when, ages ago, but it was created over time as a universal way to exchange value. And it had to be something universal, especially because we started trading globally, right? And across the country, across the world. So if we think back many moons ago, right? If one man was farming goats and one other person was making flour, how did you know how many bags of flour was worth one goat? How did we know that? Who was making up that system? So this had to be something universal to transfer this wealth. And the thing about the old system was it wasn't transferable. So over time, this money was created as a way of exchanging value. Now, inflation is basically where the cost of goods and services go up over time by a certain percentage so that what you can buy with £10 right now in a shop, in 1 year, you wouldn't be able to buy as much because the cost of those things have gone up, okay? It's like when we go to the shops and we go to buy some eggs and eggs, I buy the Burford Brown ones. They used to be £3.10. Now they're £3.90. That's because of inflation, right? I'm not getting any more eggs, but I am spending more money on it. And a lot of the issues economically is where there's this imbalance. And when you have a recession and when people are struggling financially is when inflation is high, but people's wages aren't essentially increasing in alignment with that. So therefore things are costing people more money to live the same lifestyle. Now, this means that when you hold on to your money in cash, I don't know why I did that. When you hold on to your money in cash, you're losing money over time because you're losing the buying power of that money. Do you think millionaires are okay with losing money? No. The answer is no. They will be doing what they can to retain the buying power of their money. Now, they would rather take calculated risks and invest and grow that money instead. Now, what we do know in this lifetime is that there are proven methods and ways of investing your money for profit to beat inflation, to retain the buying power of your money, and to increase your net worth. There are proven ways, successful ways of doing that, okay? Now we've got things like property, investing in the stock market, investing in businesses. There's different ways that you can invest. You've also got then things like, gold and art and collectibles and Bitcoin. Like investing is essentially you're swapping your money for an asset, and then that asset is going up or down in value. And then when you sell it and you liquidate it and you turn it into cash, you've either made a profit or you've made a loss. But obviously when it comes to investing, there are proven ways of investing that mean you are going to get a return. Now, caveat to this, your capital is always at risk. That's why it's so important to know your own risk profile when it comes to investing. So important. But I'm going to give you an example, okay? So if you saved £6,000 annually over 10 years with an average interest rate of 3%, now obviously, as we know, and we've seen this happen a lot over the last couple of years, the Bank of England base rate goes up and down, and therefore savings interest rates goes up and down. But let's just say it averages out at 3% per year. You would have approximately £70,000, of which £60,000 you've deposited, and about £10,000 of that is interest. We're not going into like pounds and pennies, by the way, we're rounding up, but just to give you an idea. But if you invested £6,000 annually over 10 years instead of saving, so you invested it with an average annual return of 8%, which in the stock market, completely a potential. The S&P 500 has returned about 11% over the last 50 years on average. Anyway, you would have approximately £94,000, of which you would have deposited £60,000 and £24,000 is interest. So if we take that example, we're comparing saving to investing, you've made £14,000 more simply by investing and not saving. Big difference. Now, if we think about it and we did the same thing, but we left our money in those accounts for an additional 25 years. So you're either saving or investing for 35 years. First 10 years, you're depositing money. The remaining 25 years, you're just letting it do its thing. Then in your savings account, in 35 years' time, you would have £127,000. But in your investing account, it's approximated that you would have £437,000, which is a huge difference, right? That is an extra £310,000 extra in your investing account over your savings account. And to add to this, this is not adjusted for inflation. So that money is not worth what it would be worth today. It would have dropped. This is so important, right? Now, the example that I would just gave you there would be on the basis of you investing regularly into global broad market investments and index funds. So we're looking at you're diversifying your portfolio. You are putting your money into something that has a higher expectation or guarantee of making a return. The key thing when it comes to saving is people like seeing their money in cash. But if you're saving your money with a bank, every £1,000 for every £1 that you save with the bank can lend out 10 times that. So of course the bank want you to save their money with them. They're like, give it to us in money, give it to us in cash. You're helping them because they're still running a business, right? They essentially own that money. When you are investing it, you are owning a stock, a fund, a piece of property, a piece of gold, a piece of Bitcoin, whatever it is that you're holding on to. Obviously, the different types of investments that you make have different levels of risk. And this is why it's important to do your education around investing. But what we know is that you own something, it goes up in value, you sell it, you've made some money. Beautiful. The way that you mitigate and manage your risk is the way that you invest, the levels and the ratios that you split your portfolio. But the end result here is that millionaires invest their money. And if you want to be wealthy, you've got to invest. It's a non-negotiable. You are not going to get wealthy just from saving. Now, whether it is, like I said before, property, businesses, stocks, funds, millionaires invest, it's how they become millionaires. Now, obviously, there is a narrative out there that you have to be rich to invest. Big golden buzzer, not golden, big red buzzer. You don't have to be rich to invest. You can start small, you can build it up, and then that's how you get rich, baby. Now, people who learn and understand the language of money, understand their own risk profile, and understand how to make their money work for them are the ones that come out on top, whether we like it or not. It's just facts. And even if your goal is not to become a millionaire, but it's just to have financial independence, investing is a huge part of that. My question to you is, do you want to work forever? The answer is probably no. Now, experts predict soon that the retirement age in the UK, the average retirement age, is going to climb up to 71. Crazy. And this change is deemed necessary due to research findings on life expectancy and birth rates, which indicate that the current system is unsustainable, particularly due to preventable health issues. Scary. But basically the state pension age is going to rise to 71, which is mental, right? Do you want to be working till you're 70? Probably not. So investing your money is important. Now, if I could go back in time and tell myself, my younger self, one thing, it would honestly be this: learn how to invest now. It's so much more interesting than you think. And even if you don't find it that interesting, it's vital. And if you start now, it's less hassle in the future. Why? Because investing loves time. It wants to be with you for as long as possible. It's a long-term commitment kind of gal. Do you know what I'm saying? So a little bit of time now spent learning how to do it and breaking through the fear of getting started and growing your money, I promise you will pay you the biggest return in the long run. Every single person that I have worked with in any capacity, one of the things that they always say is that I wish I learned to invest sooner. And I was one of those people that would hear other people say it and I would like ignore it and I wish I listened. And they always said like they would hear other people saying it and would be like, shut up. And then they did it themselves and was like, fuck. And then they became that person telling other people to do it. It's such a paradox. It's like being in like Inception. So this is your moment. This is your time. Hear what I'm saying and learn to invest. Now, the key thing that I will say is that investing involves your emotions. You don't want it to, but it does. So you have to learn what your emotional capacity for risk and investment is, but also learning the stats and listening to what you hear. If you're listening to this and you're like, I had an uncle once and he invested in the stock market and he lost everything. Let me tell you, what I was about to say was your uncle stupid. No, your uncle, do you know all the facts? Do you know what he invested in? Do you know how long he invested for? Do you know what his investing strategy was? Like there are so many things that are involved in that. The word saving and the word investing gets used like quite similarly. Oh my God, you know what I mean. But saving, like, is quite similar across the board. You open up a savings account. Yes, there's a different range. And yes, you're going to get different like levels of interest. And maybe it'll be locked away for a bit. But what's happening is it's being held in cash. Saving, being held in cash, kind of interchangeable. You're going to get an interest rate on it from the bank, the service account, savings account provider, like whatever. Investing is more of a broad term concept. And you need the extra bit on the end. Investing in a way, investing in the stock market, okay? So we're not talking about property, we're not talking about businesses. Investing in the stock market in index funds versus investing in the stock market into high-risk stocks, two very different things. So if you've got an uncle or a grandpa or someone random telling you that they invested and they lost it all, maybe ask them some questions around how that happened, because I guarantee you they weren't doing the things that successful investors do, which is investing regularly and frequently, leaving their emotions out of it, knowing that their money is going to grow over time, diversifying their portfolio, not letting FOMO get in the way. There are so many things that are impactful when it comes to becoming a successful investor. But this is what millionaires do. And I always love the phrase where they say billionaires invest millions every single year to be a billionaire. Millionaires invest hundreds of thousands every year to be a millionaire. People that are broke or don't have much money are not willing and don't want to invest their money to get richer, but you have to. It's just the way that it works. So learning what your risk profile is and how you can invest is going to be so important. So that actually brings us round to the last part of the series. And hopefully now, after the last 6 weeks, you are now a millionaire. No, I'm joking. So obviously to become a millionaire, that's going to look, do you know what? The phrase millionaire is so funny because that could mean so many different things, right? Are you a millionaire in assets and you're just someone who owns, like, you just have a bunch of properties that are worth £1 million? Do you have £1 million in cash in your bank account that you could draw down upon? Like, is it that your business is worth $1 million? Is it that you pay yourself £1 million from your business? There are so many different ways that can show up, but the key thing is that wealth looks different to everybody, and you need to know what your version of wealth look like and how you're going to get there. So that brings us to the end. Thank you so much for listening to this series. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you want to share any thoughts with me, slide into my DMs, drop me an email, share this episode with a friend, maybe tag it on socials if you fancy it, and I will speak to you all soon. Mwah!